Hey there, YouTubers. Welcome to my follow-up video for my Get Home bag. Basically, this is a continuation of where I was at before. Materially, nothing has really changed all that much, but there's been kind of two primary modifications. One is kind of a change in philosophy, and the other is a change in technology. And I want to talk about the change in philosophy first. The bag itself, the actual carrying system, I have been using this Condor battle belt and suspenders and butt pack. And I really like it. It holds the weight well. It doesn't let you pack too much. This is just a get-home bag. The idea is that I work close to 30 miles away from where I live. If I had to walk home in whatever kind of shit hits the fan scenario there is, if I had to hoof it, this would be all that I would have for the better part of a day to get home. Now, hopefully it would be much less extreme than that, but you kind of have to work from the extreme and go backwards from there. I like the butt pack. I like how it does things, but it's green. It's a little too tactical, and if you've seen my previous videos, you know I kind of talk about that a little bit. And as much as I love the tactical stuff, it's not really fitting in a lot of disaster scenarios. Not so much because it doesn't work well. In fact, it works great. That's why a lot of preppers are attracted to it. But the problem is the camouflage. I mean, I love camouflage. I love multicam and ATAX and ATAX FG and ACU, and I love all of that stuff because the idea is that you blend into your environment. Well, the idea here specifically is that I wouldn't be blending into my environment. The tactical stuff makes you look a little too prepared. When you look too prepared, you become a target. And that's what I wanted to avoid, and that's what I've got going on here, and I'm really trying to get away from it. I like it, don't get me wrong, it's great stuff. I like the Condor as a brand. I like Condor, or I like this particular methodology of doing things, but the problem that I've got with it is that it would make me stick out a little bit. What I'm going to is a backpack. Now it's a good backpack. This is REI. REI was having their big sale of the year, and that's why I got it. It fits very well, and there's a big difference between backpacks that fit well and kind of the off-the-rack backpacks you'd get at a Walmart or at the mall. I really highly recommend kind of the camping grade backpacks, because if you're a little taller, they're going to work better for you. If you have a little more weight on you, they're going to work better for you. They carry the load differently, usually better. In this case, it's got, although it's become very common, it's got a place for a reservoir. It's just very, very smartly made, smartly put together, and this is a really good way to go. Plus, it's black, so it does blend in. But black is kind of a universal color. You're going to find it in everything. This will, I mean, obviously people will see that I have a backpack so that I have something that I'm prepared for. But it won't necessarily be the tactical looking, this person's thought ahead, so let me go take what he's got. So it's pretty straightforward as far as that goes. Highly recommended. And actually, I'll give you a really quick story. A very good friend of mine. Like I mentioned, I love camouflage, and I was mentioning to some of the newer camouflages to him, and he had commented that the best camouflage you could possibly have for a suburban environment is a Labrador Retriever. And that didn't make any sense to me at all, and so I demanded that he explain himself. And he's a police officer and has been for many years, and he explained that you could walk through any neighborhood in America and you could look like an absolute tweaker, but if you had a lab with you, you'd automatically be okay. And if the police came by later to interview all of those people that saw you walk by, and you look like a criminal, and maybe you're even acting like a criminal, but everybody would remember the dog. So it's kind of a great example for camouflaging yourself for your environment. And in this case, what I'm doing is really trying to do that as best I can. Now, the second change that I'm working with here is a change in technology. Now, in my previous video, you probably saw I've got a small shortwave radio that also does weather, AM, FM. It's a very small radio, and it's just a receiver. Since doing all of this, I've gotten my amateur radio technician license, and I've begun amateur radio and getting involved with that. And I've got a couple of different radios now, some of which are kind of high end, but for something that I'm going to have in the back of my truck and is really something that's not going to get used very often. There's a new company out there. It's called, I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, Baofeng. It's a Chinese radio. The model is the UV-5R. And this is really a fantastic 2-meter radio. It's dual band. It's 2 meter and 70 centimeter. And in addition to that, it's an FM receiver. It'll also get FMS and GMRS. It'll also transmit on those frequencies, although I don't have those plugged in. It's even a flashlight. It's a great little radio. The battery life lasts forever. In a bad scenario, in a scenario, shit hits the fan scenario, pretty much you can guarantee your cell phone isn't going to work. If that isn't part of the problem where the cell phones are just down. Even if they are working, there's a very, very good chance that the system's going to be down or just simply overloaded to the point that you're not going to get a signal. And I have 2-meter radios here at home that my wife can use. I have this. Even if the repeater's down, you can still go simplex. And you can really work from quite a long distance. And I really recommend these. These radios they're Chinese. Almost all of the radios you get are going to be Japanese. These are Chinese, which is a little bit different, with the programming and a little bit different approach to the philosophy of how the menus work and how the systems work. It's a $60 radio. Pretty much a decent radio is going to start around $150 and in many cases go up to the $300 and even $400 range, even in the handheld radios. This is a handheld radio that's $60 shipped from China, all in. It's got some great accessories, and in some cases it accepts other like ICOM accessories, which is a nice feature to have. And I highly recommend these radios. Now you're getting what you pay for. You're not getting a $300 radio. It's a $50 radio, $60. But for $60, you can afford to have a couple of these. And again, lithium-ion batteries. Very wide transmit and receive range, and there's people that say there are hacks on these, but I haven't messed with that. Plus it comes with the desktop charger, which is kind of unusual. It works very quickly, so highly recommended. There are lots of reviews of these on YouTube, so check them out if you're into amateur radio at all. And again, it's the Baofeng, no promises on pronouncing that right, UV-5R. So thank you very much, and hopefully I'll have more videos here soon. Appreciate you watching.